Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is Radio Pakistan, Planet FM 87.6 News Reviews with Nabi Baig. In this transmission, we have very honorable guest who has completed MPhil from University of Cambridge, where Kashmir remained focus of his research. He then wrote a very specific, very thought-provoking book, Jammu and Kashmir, The Forgotten Narrative. His father, Mr. Sultan Mahmud Chaudhry, served both as Prime Minister and President of Azad Jammu and Kashmir, Mr. Saud Sultan. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sir, very thought-provoking, very great book regarding Kashmir. First of all, we would like to talk about its title. Why you gave this very specific name as title to the book, Jammu and Kashmir, The Forgotten Narrative. And what does it mean? Would you like to narrate it?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you very much for inviting me here. I think it'll be very useful to use this platform to talk about my book and more specifically to talk about the Kashmir issue generally. I think first in terms of the title, I think the forgotten narrative basically means things which are not out there in media, which are not out there in academia, things which are missing, which are hidden, and the history that was manipulated, especially by India and hidden, that's been nowhere to be seen. I have, through my research, more than 3 years of research, I have found out those things which were missing in the narrative. That's why it's called the forgotten narrative.
Yeah, you have given references of very great things, and you have excluded references of Pakistani books mostly. You have given reference of Indian authors, those authors who don't belong to Pakistan. What does it mean? Why?
So basically, the main theme of the book is that I'm criticizing India's stance on the Kashmir issue in the United Nations. So basically, if we need to make the book really authentic and very academic, I can't use Pakistan source because it might sound biased, because this book is written for international audience. So I think it's important it is not biased. Okay, so therefore I've used international sources or Indian sources to criticize the Indian stance on Kashmir.
Great. So, Mr. Saud, if we bifurcate, if we divide the Kashmir issue in 3 segments, in 3 parts. Number 1, before 1947, after 1947, till the armed struggle in illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir was started in 1989-90, and afterwards. Which era has been very crucial, very difficult for Kashmiris, and why? And how would you like to distinguish all these 3 eras?
Yeah, so I think, so before 1947, the first era you're talking about, it was called the Princely State of Jammu and Kashmir, okay? At that time, it was a state of its own. It had its own Maharaja first, so Maharaja Hari Singh was in his prince. Maharaja. So I think that stage, that was more like a struggle against the Maharaja, his policies and his anti-Muslim policies at that time. Then became the 1947, when the struggle was against India, when the partition happened of the Indian subcontinent. And I think the last phase that you have said, 1989, is actually an indigenous struggle of the Kashmiris living in the Kashmir Valley. So I think if you compare all these 3, I personally think from my research, 1989 is the worst period, because the reason being it's still going on for now. Because if you see,
that is still going on.
Exactly. So from almost 1989 or 1990 to 2025, you can say it's around 35 years, and it's still going on. So the pre-47, it was bits into pieces. Like, for example, the 1931 incident where around 22 Kashmiri Muslims dies. But that was specific to an area and very limited people. And then 47 is also, it finished within a year. Okay, when the partition happened. But the struggle of the Kashmiris from 1989 is still going on there. They're still living in a prison, in a jail. So I think that's the worst form of that.
Okay, when you talk about Kashmir in this book specifically, we are talking about Kashmir reference to this book. When we are talking about Kashmir, what Kashmir do you mean? princely state or
Yeah.
Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir or the whole Jammu and Kashmir?
Yeah. So I think it's extremely important that we do distinguish in terms of what do we mean by Kashmir. Because Kashmir, in simple language, people use it for various reasons. Sometimes they mean the Kashmir Valley, which means sometimes they mean the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir, which was in 1947 and prior to that. So I think in my book specifically, I have used, I called it, that's why the title of the book is called Jammu and Kashmir, the Forgotten Narrative, not Kashmir. So I have tackled the entire state of Jammu and Kashmir, which was the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir in 1947 and before that. So it has got, in the present time, it has got 5 areas now. So 2 of them are with Pakistan, which is Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan at that time. And the 3 areas which we call now as Indian illegally occupied Kashmir, that has got 3 areas, which is Ladakh, Jammu and the Kashmir Valley. So I think all of these areas is very important to distinguish all these areas because they all have different history. And it's important when we talk about Kashmir, what do we mean by Kashmir?
And when we talk about plebiscite, in which area there should be plebiscite? Only in the valley or in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir or in the whole region?
Yeah, so I think when we talk about the plebiscite, we need to make it clear what we call as a unitary plebiscite. What that means is that the entire state of princely Jammu and Kashmir, whether all of those people would decide to do a plebiscite and decide, or whether we mean a regional plebiscite, which is, for example, Kashmir Valley separate, Azad Kashmir separate. So I think it's important when we talk about plebiscite, we kind of understand what we are talking about in terms of the plebiscite.
When we talk about the struggle of Kashmiri people and the pain they have been suffering, so we think and we believe and we realize that Kashmiri people have been giving sacrifice even before 1947, and we also know that in 1931, in the when Dogra forces were there, 22 Kashmiri people were gunned down, they were shot, they were killed in broad daylight just in front of Srinagar Central Jail. It means, it shows that Kashmiris have been paying their blood, paying sacrifices through decades and decades, but they never surrendered. What would you like to say about their struggle, this unwavering and matchless struggle, and they never surrendered, they never became submissive?
Yep. So I think you mentioned the incident of 1931, but I would say the struggle of Kashmiris goes back to 100 years before, which starts from 1837. The first one was that it was Gulab Singh who was in charge of the Jammu and Kashmir. At that time, the governor of Poonch at that time, because Poonch is also part of state of Jammu and Kashmir, there was a governor general called Shamsuddin. He revolted against the Maharaja, and I think at that time, especially the people in Poonch, the Maharaja started a reign of terror in there because they were Muslims. And I think the 2 of his companion, Malli and Sabzali, both of these, their skins were stripped off from their bodies, and they are still, the monument is still there in Poonch at the moment. So I think the struggle goes back 100 years and 100 years ago. It's not just 1931. And still the Kashmiris are, I think that's what we need to educate people, not just in Pakistan, even outside Pakistan, that the struggle has been for years and
Just
years.
a few weeks before, during the escalation between India and Pakistan, I remember that President Donald Trump, he said that Kashmir issue is there for 1,000 years. Do you think that he is absolutely right? He knows about Kashmir, or that was just a rhetoric or slip of tongue, or he believes that this issue is there for 1,000 years?
I think what he probably meant is that metaphorically he meant that this has been going on for years and years and centuries as we talk. So probably in that context he said 1,000 years ago. But obviously he's saying it's an unfinished business between India and Pakistan. And India and Pakistan, as we saw just now in May 2025, again there was military escalation between both the neighboring countries. And again, Kashmir was the main reason. I think what Trump's statement meant was that 1,000 years. I don't think he meant literally 1,000 years, but he's meant that for centuries and centuries.
This is very old issue.
Exactly. It's a very
we
old
need to resolve it.
And I think that's the most important thing that he said. His significance is important because he said we need to resolve it.
We need to resolve.
Yes.
Sir, in your book, you have given archival references that in 1947 it were not Pashtuns, but it was the invasion of India. It was the invasion of Indian forces. And how important this archive is, and how important it is that you have mentioned it, that attack was not by, invasion was not by Pashtuns, by tribes of Pakistan, but it was the invasion of India.
Yeah. So I think before I say that, I think it's important to just for one line to mention that what happened in 1947 after India and Pakistan came into being in August 1947. Indian narrative at the moment internationally is that in 1947, 22nd October 1947, Pakistan sent tribesmen.
They invaded over there.
Exactly. They came from Pakistan to state of Jammu and Kashmir and they killed people and invaded. That's their narrative internationally. So what I have done is I've challenged the Indian stance, what they have in the United Nations at the moment.
Of course.
And I said before the tribesmen came in 1947, in 22nd October 1947, it was actually there was Indian army had already reached the borders of Jammu. So I think it was the Patiala state forces who have already there, because India has already planned a military attack and to invade that. Keep in mind, we already know what happened in Junagadh and Hyderabad, how they invaded that and they took control of it because their rulers have already acceded to Pakistan. But Indian army went there and they just snapped it. So I think it's important in what they wanted to do the same for Kashmir. They had already planned, and there's a lot of evidence of that in my book, that they planned military takeover of Kashmir. And I think that's where the Patiala forces, they came on 17 October, so 5 days before the Pathan invasion. And also Akali Sikhs, they came before the Pathan invasion. Now what this does is that, because they were also foreigners, as we call it, they were outside the state of Jammu and Kashmir, they were not state subject. So I think what that does is, I think if Pakistan, or if I've already proven it, if Pakistan takes it at a diplomatic level, UN level, at the moment, India is blaming Pakistan. Oh, you sent the tribesmen on 22nd October, so you are to be blamed. But what Pakistan can say now, you send your armies first. So you first tell us why did you send yours.
Sir, let's talk on one more false narrative of India. That is the accession of instrument signed by Maharaja Hari Singh. Do you think there was such kind of accession which was signed by Maharaja Hari Singh, or there was not any instrument, or if there is any instrument, what is the legality of that instrument, or there was not any instrument at all? It is just false narrative of India.
So I think the first and the most important thing is that India claims that the instrument of accession was signed on 26 October 1947. And therefore they sent the army on 27 October into Jammu and Kashmir. So I have proven in my book in chapter 5, it's called the disputed accession, India's fabricated foundations. So what that means is that instrument of accession was not signed by Maharaja on 26 October. Because the reason for that being is, I've cited British sources here who claim that. So the first source is basically Alexander Simons, who was the High Commissioner of UK based in New Delhi. And he says that on 26 October, so VP Menon was the Secretary of State for India. He took the instrument of accession document and he was about to fly to Jammu to get it signed from Maharaja Hari Singh. However, he did not flew on 26 October. And this has been proven by Alexander Simon. He said he saw VP Menon in New Delhi at that day and in the evening. So he did not flew. He said, I have missed my flight. So he was with him. So that proves that he did not even fly on 26th of October. If he did not fly, Maharaja cannot sign. That's the first evidence we have. The second evidence that we have is that Lord Mountbatten was having a dinner with Ian Stephen, who's an editor of a newspaper, The Statesman. It's an English newspaper, very famous magazine. So he said to him, they were having a dinner. And Mountbatten said on the night of 26th October, he said, we are still finalizing the accession process. On the dinner, he said that. And this is said by Ian Stephens, a British person. He said at night, Mountbatten said, we are still in the process. So he did not confirm that it's been signed off. So those two, there are more.
So there are no any confirmations at all?
No.
That it was
was not signed on 26 October. A lot of people have approved that. There are so many sources on it. LS Lam has approved it. Victoria Schofield has approved it. So it was not signed on 26.
But on media, I have seen some kind of documents that there was signed by Maharaja Hari Singh. That is fake.
Yes.
That is fake circulated by
And
Indian agencies.
and I think that's what I'm trying to bring out the truth out from my book, to make sure what is real, that's real, to bring it out, because there's a false narrative India has used. Because keep in mind, Pakistan has got a lot of things to say that Kashmir belongs to it. One of that is it's a Muslim state, right? The majority is Muslims, and obviously they will come to Pakistan. Then second thing is that there are a lot of languages, culture, ethnicity. The state of Jammu and Kashmir have got more towards Pakistan rather than India. Okay, so that's another thing. And geographically, you know that in 1947, India had no single road directly attached to Jammu and Kashmir. So there were no road linkages. It was bound to come to Pakistan because there were three main roads. Was one which goes now to Muzaffarabad and goes to there, and then one was from the Sialkot area to go to Jammu. So all the roads went to Pakistan directly. So it was geographically not aligned to India. So the only evidence that India, or only argument they have, is that we have got instrument accession, which is clearly false, and that's why they make this false propaganda, because they want to tell the world, oh, Kashmir belongs to them, which is completely inaccurate academically.
Great. After all, Kashmiri people started armed struggle in 1989-90. What do you think? Was this armed struggle inevitable? It was very much necessary, crucial part and parcel for Kashmiri people that they had to stand up finally and take sword that we are going to fight against India. And what Kashmiri people got, what they achieved by this armed struggle, was it necessary or not?
Yeah, so I think the armed struggle was inevitable. Eventually, it had to happen. The reason for that being is that India had denied Kashmiris a lot of their basic rights since 1947. Okay, which starts from their political rights to begin with, and there are a lot of Indian authors who have said that. Sumantra Bose is one of them. So I think their struggle was there. But what happened in 1989 is that they started to protest, right? And what India did, he launched a very worse, rather would say, attack on the Kashmiris. They were killing them, okay? They were killing the people. So they had to fight back, because if they did not fight back an armed struggle, they would have been dead by now. And imagine, they're killing your family, they're raping your women. So what can you do? You can't just stay back. And as a Muslim, I think majority of the people are Muslim in Kashmir Valley. It's a jihad for them, because they want to fight to protect their land, protect their family, and to protect their religion. So they
honor as well.
Exactly, and the respect. So you can't let people just enter your house and kill people here. So what you can do, just say, oh, we want peace. So I think they had to fight back. They had no option. For their survival, they had to take arms and fight the Indian tyranny.
So finally, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he abrogated two specific articles, 370 and 35A. What India, specifically Narendra Modi, wanted to achieve by abrogating these specific laws, and will he succeed to achieve it, whatever he wants to achieve?
Yeah, so I think the BJP government, they're the Hindu fundamentalists, okay? So I think what they did, but I think that's where our first question, that the accession is disputed, it's not valid, because what basically say, Indians say that Kashmir is part of them based on the accession, but the accession itself is invalid and not right, okay? So that does not make Kashmir part of them in the first place, okay? Now what happened in 2019 about the Article 370 and 35 revocation, I think because India has tried since 1989. He has tried to suppress the Kashmiris, violate human rights. They've done everything they can. But Kashmiris have been so brave. They have faced Indian army. They have faced some draconian laws there. And India has been unsuccessful in that. So I think they have seen that the brave Kashmiri nation, they won't step back, okay? They will fight for their rights. So now what they said is that revoke Article 370, okay? Bring Indians in Kashmir, okay? So change the demography of Kashmir from a Muslim majority to a non-Muslim majority, and then say, oh, Kashmir belongs to us then. Because that's the ultimate one. Because keep in mind, Kashmir issue is an international issue. It's still on the agenda of the United Nations since 1948. So India has said we'll do a plebiscite, and keep in mind the first Prime Minister Nehru has said that several times, at least 10 times he said that in the Parliament of India, the accession of the Kashmir of India should be by the referendum to the people. And that has not happened yet. And now India knows they cannot win Kashmiri's hearts anymore. Now what they want to do is just take over blindly.
Of course, you are rightly mentioning that India will be unable to win hearts and minds of Kashmiri people. But India adopted different kind of tactics to suppress Kashmiri people and suppress their freedom movement. catch and kill policy was adopted over there. Arbitrary killings were there. Catching youngsters and killing them, torturing them before their mothers, before their parents, that was there. And finally, they adopted this strategy to abrogate these two articles. What strategy, what next, what India is going to do in Kashmir now? Because each and every strategy has been failed miserably over there, because as you yourself mentioned that India will never be able to win hearts and minds of Kashmiri people. What strategy Narendra Modi is going to adopt to suppress Kashmiri's freedom struggle?
Yeah, so I think what now they are doing is they have tried their best. First, they have not won the heart of Kashmiris. They've used every force they can. Okay, I mean, if I tell you there are so many laws there, public safety,
and they know it as well.
Exactly. Then obviously they know it as well. And there are Armed Forces Special Powers Act. Okay, there is army in the cities of the Kashmir. Okay, people are living. I've interviewed a lot of Kashmiris in my book, and they are living in a jail. Okay, they can't even call properly. They can't even talk properly. Okay, it's that kind of environment. So they have done everything, but the Kashmiris have been so brave. They have faced everything, and even their children, they face that. And keep in mind the psychological impact it has on children. That's often ignored in main media. So I think they've tried their best. I mean, they've tried their worst to suppress from all their means by force, and they've been failed. Now they think the Kashmiris would not be suppressed anymore. We have done our best. Like, they've killed people, like you said, raped their women. They have done everything that they can. Even the Kashmiri children, they're so brave.
In your idea, what would be, because you have very deep research on Kashmir, what would be the last step by Narendra Modi to do to implement over there?
Yeah, so I think what the last step he is doing now is changing the demography, because now he's saying the Kashmiris are so brave, we cannot suppress them anymore. They realize that now, because 35 years have gone. Kashmiris are still...
So demographic change.
Yes, that's what he's looking after.
He wants to bring demographic change over there, and Indian Hindus, non-Muslims will be settled over there, and after that they will say, okay, come on, let's have plebiscite, and there will be majority of Hindus.
Yes.
So Kashmiri people always say, this has been their deep rhetoric, that we are Pakistanis and Pakistan belongs to us. Is this just a rhetoric, or it is deep rooted? It is Pakistan is in their blood and heart?
Well, obviously, we talk about the suppression and the oppression that India has done on the Kashmiris for the past 35 years at least. And you will still see in the streets of Srinagar, there's a Pakistani flag there. So they obviously want to come with Pakistan, and they obviously have a very kind heart, and they want to come by heart to Pakistan. So I think that's one of the main hope that they have. They have been fighting, but that's another hope, because Pakistan, and especially the Pakistan army, is very competent, is very strong. They know that they can fight and defeat India. We know what happened in May 2025, where the Pakistan army defeated the Indian army quite convincingly. So the Kashmiris are very hopeful, and it's their hope that's given them the strength to fight against the tyranny of Indian government. And I think that's why they want to come to Pakistan, because it's a Muslim country. Because keep in mind, like, for example, we are from Azad Kashmir, and there is no army in Azad Kashmir. Okay, the reason being because we are Muslims, right? And we practice religion what we can. So I think over there they can't even, the Jamia Masjid after 2019, the main mosque in Srinagar, that was closed for 18 months.
Of course.
And in last Ramadan, the mosques were closed. People were not allowed to pray Tarawih. So these kind of oppression, because think from a Commonwealth perspective, plebiscite is more like a national issue. But if you talk to Kashmiris and see how they're living there, I think that's more important. The humanitarian crisis that the Kashmiris have been facing and are still facing. They can't even pray properly there. They can't have